Thank you very much and welcome everybody. It's wonderful to see you all here this evening. A very different event from those we've had in the past, but I'm sure it's going to be just as enjoyable. And thank you for your enthusiasm and your commitment to poetry. And I'm going to call you up in the order in which I sent the program, and actually it's alphabetical. And I'm very, very happy to call Shelley Mcclear up first. Shelley, we are so delighted to see Shelley. Shelley would actually have been doing this a couple of years ago, and everybody has missed her hugely. So we're just really pleased she's here with us tonight. For those of you who don't know, she was the coordinator of the LAVA program at CAP for more than 9 years. She is joining us from America, from Minnesota, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And she's toured and performed on 4 continents. She's received an Arts Council Northern Ireland ACES Award, which she developed a one-woman show, which was longlisted for the Saboteur Awards. And welcome, Shelley.
Hey, thank you. It's lovely to see all your faces. It's been a while. And yeah, I had hoped to see many of your faces much sooner than this, but things being what they are, I'm a little stranded over here. So really, really delighted to be invited. Thank you so much, Shelley, for the invitation. It's only 1 o'clock in the afternoon here, so I haven't quite started on the tiffles yet. I'm going to save that for a while. I have 2 pieces which are located in my new location. The first I wrote 6 years ago, originally, no, 4 years ago, originally following the death of Philando Castile. Unfortunately, some things don't age the way that we might hope they would. So this is called Close to Home for Philando and now for George. It's a pantoum. When you hear them say his name, you will turn your head in recognition, and you will ask who is to blame, and you will expect admonition. You will turn your head in recognition. It's different. It's a name you know, and you will expect admonition. You'll wait for truth, however slow. It's different. It's a name you know. It's not a number, not a noise. You'll wait for truth, however slow. You'll raise your placard, raise your voice. It's not a number, not a noise. When you hear them say his name, you'll raise your placard, raise your voice, and you will ask, who is to blame? Okay, thank you. My second piece is more recent. This has been rattling in my head since late May of this year. And I finally put it to paper this week. It's called 2 Loaves and 5 Cans of Tuna Fish, Paper Bags on Lake Street, May 2020. By Sunday, the sidewalk was awash with a tide of paper bags. After the storm, after the fires, after the need to breathe. Don't they always tell you to lean forward and breathe into a paper bag as though air was free? As though air was a utility for everybody? Every body? But I can't breathe. It's easy to forget in the Sunday sway of prayer and hymns and hers and hymns still singing in the pews, whilst the morning news is smouldering. And out here, where the trees still share the air and it's easy to breathe through the leaves and the roots of Grandpa's pioneers, where the photo of the boat his grandparents took in 1863 sits flat and happy and historied against a magnolia wall. Do you hear that? Do you hear the tapping of keyboards, the furious tap-tapping of keyboards, a key beat faster than a pulse? Buildings exhale grey wisps beside brown paper bags filled with rice and soup and toilet roll. And keyboards beat in caps lock faster than a pulse from somewhere where the air is free. Bend your knee when I tell you. Inconvenient smoke is a signal to the tribe, and they gather, bearing memes and disjointed noses and taking alternative routes. What could be worse than a detour? A continental shift. We followed the list: loaves, cans of tuna fish, tortillas and beans, equally divvied into each bag. Soap, sanitizer if you can find it. In went some treats to sweeten the taste of the day, tinged with cinder. And we tried to breathe out so that you could breathe in. And I want to breathe out so that you can breathe in when you open this bag on Lake Street. Thank you.
Thank you, Shelley, for starting us off with two such powerful pieces. Thank you very much. And now we're going to have Claire Mcwilliams. Hi, Claire.
Hello, Shelley.
Okay, so Claire is also known as the Belfast Beatnik. She's a poet, spoken word artist, a playwright, and an intercultural poetry facilitator. She's originally from Bangor, and she's shaped by the sea, now lives in South Belfast. He's currently developing a new show based on the connections between pain, trauma, memory, and executive function, with thanks to funding from the Arts Council and the Lottery. So over to you, Claire.
Thank you very much, Shelley. I'd like to also start with a thank you. I know that I haven't seen many of you, and the ones that I have seen, I've been very lucky to see. So as some of you know, I was quite ill a couple of years ago, and a lot of you sent me poetry, which really helped in my recovery, and I haven't properly thanked those people for that. And the two Shelleys, Shelley Tracy and Shelley Mcclear, were instrumental in making sure that my arts grant didn't go away and I got paid for a piece of work that I did. So thank you very much for that. I'm just going to do a poem that I wrote about the people who looked after me. So it's called The Salt Keepers. You are the salt keepers, owners of the hazy sunshine in my mind, and boy do I beg for it. Rasping, lolling and barking while you turn me, burn me as gently as you can, with sorries and, oh darlings, you can do it. One more time now, little prick now, cough it up now, breathe down deep now. That's it, keep on going. One more time now, little prick now, cough it up now, breathe down deep now. That's it, keep on going. One more time now. You are the gatekeepers, always tap, tap, tapping when I wake, talking about training and how to placate fearful big children whose brains just awake, imagine the worst things their memories can make. You are my shadowy saviours, calling me down from the choirs and the clouds, dropping ropes of reality into the nestles of my brain where I grasp them, still rasping in the infernal rain. One more time now. Little prick now, cough for me now, breathe down deep now. That's it, keep on going. One more time now. You're the timekeepers, where 5 minutes can seem like an hour, where you tell me off like my mum long ago for reading books at this hour. You're the steadiers, lifting me up, shouting, no, you won't go in my watch. You're the lamplighters, taking the shots, standing back like a media crew. You're the bouncers who coast through the corridors with puckered parcels as fragile as glass. with a smile and a chat and a, oh, fancy that. Oh, you've been through all the wars, haven't you? You're the wipers, the moppers of slots, in and out every hour as I watch. When you come to my bed, each of you nod your head and acknowledge my humanity. And deep down inside, my shame turns to pride as I manage to lift up my thumb and I eye you a thanks, while tears burst through banks for the first time since waking you. You're the fixers, tapers of my nappy, whose normal is my spit, blood and bile, who held my hand through the trip so that I didn't slip out of this world and into the next. You're the reason I'm here and not living in fear, but so grateful for each living breath. And you visit my dreams, where you soothe all my screams, the mantra that kept me alive. One more time now, little prick now, cough it up now, breathe down deep now. That's it, keep on going. One more time now. You are the salt keepers, and I salute. Thank you.
Claire, do you have another poem, or should we go into the next person?
No, I'm just going to leave it at that, Shelley. Thank you very much for
thank you very much.
Really
Thank you, Claire, for another powerful piece. Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you. So next we have Denise Blake, all the way from Donegal, in lockdown, and fortunately she can be with us today. Welcome, Denise.
All the way from
yeah. So Denise's collections, Take a Deep Breath and How to Spin Without Getting Dizzy, are by Summer Palace Press, and her third collection, Invocation, is by Revival Press. Her poem, And They All Lived Happily, was part of Poetry Ireland's Poetry Day 19, and she has worked broadcast on Sunday Miscellany on RTE. Thank you, Denise.
Thank you very much. It struck me, Shelley and Claire both talked about breath and breathing in their poems, and I just thought this is such a wonderful way to be breathing tonight. It's just lovely to be here. Thank you very much. I have two short poems. You can hear me okay, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
I was testing away at the thing earlier on today, and I said, please don't give up on me, you know. The first one, I could keep adding to this poem. It strikes me very much, you know, when you get advice that you don't want to hear, you know, this cliche kind of words like, that wouldn't bother me. I wrote it a couple years ago. I could add an awful lot of things to it now from the advice that people are given about cheer up and live, you know, go bake bread and all this kind of stuff. But anyway, for now, against words. I'm opposed to words. I told you so, words. You'll get over it, words. When I was your age, words. That's not the way it's done, words. Welcome to my world, words. I'm opposed to the words, you still have your health. It's only a job. It's only a house. You'd need to pull yourself together. My cousin's boyfriend's sister had that. Sure, that's nothing to be worrying about. Everything happens for a reason. Someday you'll look back on this. It could be worse. You shouldn't have. Why didn't you? If I were you. I'm opposed to them all. Give me the silence that says, I'm listening. And with this, I'm sorry about this. I'm showing off. I'm going to talk about Donegal. And I said several times during lockdown, and again now we're at level 3, if I didn't live in Donegal, I would want to live in Donegal. So this is a Donegal poem. And thank you very much. Towards Rathmullen. White water skirts the edges of waves like the ruffles of a cotton petticoat. The tide wavers between high and low. A rusted fishing boat idles. Nets plop into the water. A cormorant plunges into the depths, reappears empty-mouthed. Today, I have the soul of a tourist. Hold it all in the breath of awe. I work my finger against a shell's inner slope, like the soothe of a marble worry stone. 2 swallows pass over me. Yesterday, we had the commotion of rain and thunder. Tomorrow, I will be too busy to take pause. Over in its own brightness shudders to shadow. The tide purls to me in shimmering blessings. Raindrops begin to nag. The wind wrinkles the surface of the water, and the pulse of this moment begins to weaken. How gifted am I that this quiet day will not ripple into memory, but fade away into the ordinary wonder of life in this place. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Denise. It was lovely. Okay, we are now going to go to Emma Must, and I'm going to tell you something very special about Emma. That Emma yesterday handed in her PhD. So big round of applause for that.
Thank you.
And she looks pretty good, you know. She doesn't look as shattered as most people look at that stage. So
thank you, Shelley.
So this was well timed then, Emma, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's great timing. Thank you.
Okay. So Emma lives in Belfast, and her poem Toll won the Environmental Defenders Prize at the Ginkgo Awards in November 2019. In 2018, she received an Arts Council of Northern Ireland ACES Award, and her debut poetry pamphlet, Notes on the Use of the Austrian Scythe, won the Templar Portfolio Award. So I give you Emma Must.
Thank you, Shelley. Can you hear me and see me okay?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you so much. Yeah, I had 10 hours sleep last night, so I'm feeling a bit better. I'd like to read 2 poems. One about making my home in Belfast, and one to do with where I grew up in Hampshire, in England. Cycling to IKEA. I went for curtains, beige I thought, linen. I would carry them home in my handlebar basket. But as I pedalled along Airport Road, what unfolded in front of me was the fabric of a city's hem. Great warehouses and hangars, Phoenix natural gas, bird hides numbered 1 and 2, an improbable hairdressing enterprise. And beyond the Abercorn Basin, the cool white limbs of a wind farm being born, or the pipes of a giant organ transplanted from the Ulster Hall, blown out of all proportion, or a grove of silver flutes silently fingering airs. I put these treasures in my basket, and in the gaps between them stuffed storage boxes, Tupperware, a small blue lampshade, meatballs. Cycling back at dusk past that hairdresser's, Hairport, I thought, they missed a trick, I also acquired black ticks of birds like affirmations, alighting on the surface of the lock, then taking off. Kids in uniform, their headphones echoing the gantries at Harland and Wolff. The sunset streaming tangerine and pomegranate, caught for a handful of minutes in the window glass of City Bank. And then, thank you. And then this second poem has got an epigraph from Don Patterson, which is, somewhere in the unconscious, the echoed consonants. Chalk with flints. Chock full of coccoliths under the microscope, a basket of cartwheels, corpuscles, Coke bottle caps, a shingle of cameos. Think of phytoplankton discarding their skeletons in a warm shelf sea, quietly as snow. How carbon dioxide spikes at an absolute high and water doesn't ice at the poles. A cliff or a cutting holds a lifetime of fossils. Look at its rhythmic packages of sediment. Track its tectonic upheavals into anticline. Church, arc, structure. Encounter it at Ventnor or Eastbourne or in the Ochrim Derg borehole. Study the blocks of its consonants, its breathy vowel. Watch dark fricatives spark in the lyric ground. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Emma.
Thank you.
And now we have Frank Rafferty.
Hello.
Hello. Sorry, Frank, I couldn't see you on my screen. Great to see you.
Okay. Can you hear me okay? Yeah?
Yes, can
Okay.
hear you well. Yeah.
Fine.
So Frank is Scottish, European, adopted Mancunian, and he lives in Derry. He's curator of a spoken word slot for BBC Radio 4's Mark Patterson show. He coordinates Bluebell Arts Derry, and he's a performance poet, an occasional stand-up actor, an events organizer, and host. So Frank is not a lazy person. Okay, Frank.
Well, I don't know.
Hearing you.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true. I can be a bit lazy at times. This period of time when I'm being forced to work from home, I think sometimes laziness can get the better of me. I try not to make that happen though. I'm going to do one poem tonight. Basically, like lots of poets, this is a poem that was going around, bits and pieces were there for a long, long time. And sometimes it takes meeting someone before things start to fall into place. So I always say that this poem, although there was bits and pieces there, it was really caused by my wife, Rachel. It's called, is it a love poem? Because somebody once said that to me after I'd done it. And I thought, okay, right, there's a title. Do not belong to others, for none belong to you. Possession is not virtue, just the turning of a screw. All those dispossessed possessions, spent and broken on the rack, do not belong to others, or they may not give you back. And it really doesn't matter if it's me, you, her, or him, who can become someone's possession, be disposed of on a whim. A darker still scenario for her, him, me, or you is to become someone's possessor. Do I belong to you? Do I belong to you now? Do you belong to me? Is this all that I long for? To give someone the key to understand me totally, accept without complaint, to give to this one other my whole self without restraint, abandoned to that moment when another makes me live, when against all wiser judgment I can do now else but give all my love, head, heart, and body to this single other soul, to unite in the divisions of ourselves and make us whole. But still their siren voices call me. Hear their claims, ask, are they true? Do not belong to others, for none belong to you. Do not be led by instinct, love, emotion you can feel. Kneel before each endless reason for denying what is real. Break the heart, destroy the spirit, kill all passion, bury rage, purge your memory of loving, build yourself a better cage. Try to wriggle out of living, climb the scaffold, bend the knee, but do not belong to others. They may never set you free. Free to feel no thing for no one, free to gasp the truth of Zen, free to mutter through that madness in the minds of many men. How you're free of fruitless passion, how you've crucified inside, how your science, your gods, your reason have all being verified. I don't want such understanding. I don't need to live alone. I know we all are anyhow, from belly back to bone. I just need your heartfelt laughter. I want your body next to mine. Belonging to another is the only human sign. Back to this, the same old story, told and telling, always true. I may not belong to others, but I will belong to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Frank. I think it's a love poem.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it is a love poem.
It gets there in the end.
Yeah. Thank you, Frank, very much. Okay, and next we have Linda McKenna. And Linda's debut collection in the Museum of Misremembered Things was published by Dara Press in March 2020. So did it come out in lockdown, Linda?
So yes, I missed it. There was no launch
Yeah,
because of the lockdown. Yeah.
She's had poems published in a number of publications, and she won the Seamus Heaney Award for New Writing and the Red Lion Festival Poetry Award in 2018. So over to you, Linda.
Thanks very much, Shelley, and thank you for asking me to take part. I hope you can all hear me. I'm just going to read a couple of short poems. I thought I might read some domestic poems or more domestic poems. So this is housekeeping. Housekeeping. I live in a house of obsolescence with sideboards and fire screens, doilies, tray cloths, sherry glasses, and china bowls made to serve food and never eat. They are not heirlooms left to me by maiden aunts or grandmothers who knew better days, but they anchor me to this place more than bricks and mortar, worry me more than mortgage payments, and comfort me more than central heating. When I touch them, they give off faint scents of beeswax, lavender, starch, transporting me to where the devil is bested every day by never idle hands, and servant girls cut wafers of godliness from blocks of pink soap before breaking their fast. And this poem always reminds me of my grandmother. Speckless. Speckless was what she aimed for. Speckless floors and windows, but especially sheets, plunged again and again into water hot as she could make it, soap and scrub, knuckles raw, twisting out the dead watery rate of them, stinging in arms and shoulders, then again through the wringer, then watched like a hawk for the shadow, the sniff of rain, the inelegant dash to rescue them from the deluge, then in off the line to dance them into narrow folds, edge to edge, face to face, hands almost but not quite touching, chaste and white and clean smelling, something formal, a word you have read but don't quite understand, gavotte or pavan. Then the disinterring of the ironing cloths, grey blankets laid on the table, old linen smooth and scorched, the good day's work of piles of speckless sheets growing and growing at the uncovered end of the scrubbed table. And this is a very short poem that I'll finish with. Blue. Some women swore by razor blades, hoarded in sweet tins and cups, hovered over husbands shaving in small mirrors, terrified they would discard the blunt. Others were faithful to nails and hinges, on Sunday walks, scouring shorn ground for treasure, a discarded bolt, a triumph. Those were the days our mothers took up hems, stretched mince, but never gave in to soil. Every year, the sowing of rusty metal, the keeping of hydrangeas, and possibly blue. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you. That was beautiful. And now we have Michael Wilson. Michael was doing his lit up poetry evenings at CAP, and hopefully we'll be starting those again soon through Zoom. So Michael, he is a national award-winning published performance poet, and his writing is a balance of light and shade. He's a multinational slam winner at regional and national levels. He tours extensively, and last year he toured Canada, and his book, Bedlam's Best and Finest, is published by iWare. So over to you, Michael.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me okay, Shelley?
Yes.
Excellent. Right, okay. I'm going to do two pieces from a book of mine called After All Tomorrow's After Parties. It's available through Knives and Forks Press. And one of the reasons I was going to read the first poem anyway was it is about autumn. An ode to autumn. Deep down in yourself, deep down in your coat, the autumn falls before your eyes. Smoke perspires from car exhaust and the streets sound silent in your head. Watching the traffic find its way from safe inside the hem of a hood. The unlit cigarette burns a hole in your hand as you take the world in, a stage set street at a time. Your thoughts are wrapped up in pretty paper, round numbers and letters and how they fit their clothing. In the willingness of your mind, you had to train yourself to double think. A single line, when added to, creates a picture you can just make out in the dark horse sky. A sky that maps this world. All true intention pushed underfoot, the leaves and all the deadness of past summer crushed underfoot. You hear a beating memory in your head that from your past, autumn never means you harm. The curled blur of streetlights, mats of fuzziness in your logic, walks with you. An elegant procession of thoughts that play to beat the band. A foresight that this winter won't bite too hard, because it knows its own mortality. A backlit sight that summer leaves a marker in your skin, but won't do what it's told. It won't change your life this time around. You walk back to your home, the rest of the world in front. The street smells of everything and nothing at once. While the moon makes its once sightly appearance, a smile like benevolent stupidity, a smile like a patriarch, not a sister, a father for you to figure out your thoughts, and for this moment, your happiness won't get away. The day comes back to you in the soft grip of night, that autumn holds its lover lightly, as it lets the summer leave you, feed you, and clothe you in your own colors. The halfway secret sign of autumn is held in the single change of a skin. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, the second one I'd like to do is called Wake Up. It's from the same book.
Michael,
Hello?
could you come a bit, sorry, Michael, could you come a bit closer to the microphone?
Is that a bit better?
Yeah, I'm lost a couple of words there. Thank you.
Okay, that's okay. Okay, yeah, this is from the same book. It's called Wake Up. And all the broken heart liquor couldn't save you from the morning. Instead, it dropped you right in it from a great height and left you there to fend for yourself. And another day weighed down across your shoulders, one where the sun can barely lift its head to shine, finding new avenues for her old words to travel, leaving and returning to the same thought like the tide, that once you reach the bottom, there's nowhere else to go. And you put her words up to the lamplight shine. You see through them to what she really said. And when you turned it off and fell into bed, those words glowed in the corner of the room while you sleep and waited for you to wake again. And the early summer sun can make you feel like you're someone different. We know better than the rest, don't we? A life so lonely that company's a pain. In a corner of a thought, in a room by the edge of her voice, in a space beneath her breath, in a small black medicine box, lost from your eye in shadow, was a word dropped softly in your dreaming ear. And in the sprawl of the afternoon, you find your thoughts follow the slow sweep of the clock hand till they find their way back again. But today, they seem to breathe slow and easy. They say pain finds its own level. If that's true, then so must joy. And your word-stained lips fall into a smile at every new minute, marked into the ground by all our hands, opens up the sky above your head another inch, and all the broken heart liquor can fend for itself. Because this time, you let yourself hear her final words slip away at last, before you allow yourself to sleep it off. Thank you very much. Cheers, guys.
Thank you very much, Michael. Thank you. And now we have Moira Donaldson, who has published 9 collections of poetry, included a limited edition publication of artwork and poems, Blood Horses, in collaboration with artist Paddy Lennon. Her most recent collection is Carnivorous with Dara Press. And in 2019, she received a major Individual Artist Award from the Arts Council Northern Ireland. And we're delighted to have you here, Moira.
It's just great to be here, Shelley, and it's so lovely to see all the faces. I've been missing seeing people like everyone else. It's been a bit lonely over the last while in a lot of ways, hasn't it? And, you know, sitting here, I can actually see out my kitchen window in that direction. And I've just watched the most amazing harvest moon rise, a big orange moon, as the poetry's been happening. So it's been beautiful. So like Michael, I thought autumn time I'd read an autumn poem. This poem is just called Thinking About Autumn. I was looking at the garden and thinking about autumn and how I just can't like it. Despite the colours of leaves, dahlias, fat, ripe elderberries, blackberries, hips and haws, because it means winter's coming and I don't like winter. Despite how snow looks on the trees I can see from my kitchen window, frosty night stars, big fires and hot whiskies. Then I thought maybe I should just learn to content myself, because after all, it's the nature of things, and after winter there is always spring. And I love spring. The way May blossom is unbelievably white and everything is bursting out, growing, reaching, moving into lovely, lovely summer. Bare skin, long light, and short hot nights. Then I saw the birds ready for leaving on the telephone lines and thought, screw contentment. If I had wings, I'd go too. My feelings about autumn. The next poem I'd like to read was written for part of the wonderful Coast to Coast to Coast initiative, Map, Line and Stitch. And the inspiration from it was taken from a line from another poem. And the line was, We squandered time on narrowing sand till the tide flowed over me. And this poem is called Bali Whisking Beach. How wide the beach, how high the cliffs, the teeming sea, little flatfish, pipefish, rocklings, mermaid's purse, kelp and bladder wrack drawn aside to reveal a sideways scuttle of crabs. Rock pools where sea anemones flower and periwinkles are jeweled currency. Gathering dulse to dry and eat, salt, the dawning light, my father singing, the shrimp boats are a-coming, my softly mother. Tartan picnic rug, sun, skin, castles made of sand, moats filled by buckets carried from the tide. The length of days, calm, rolling deep of night, tenor G from Mew Island foghorn, sounding like the voice of the sea in the dreaming dark. It seemed I closed my eyes and dreamed a life, or else where did it go, the time? Tonight, I see how the beach is narrow, the cliffs are merely rocks, no height at all. The child is memory, mother and father too, all disappeared beneath the tide of years. All now is remembering. I close my eyes again. How high the cliffs, how wide the beach. And I'll just finish off with this really short little poem, a new poem, and it's called Crone Song. Not every song's melodic, and over time I've come to love the crow's true earth music. Feathered blue-black notes that call to old women at the core of themselves, spirit and memory. Corvids and crones keep company with divination, shift between realms. I lie awake as old women do. At dawn, I open my cawing throat. Awe, awe, awe. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
And next we have Raquel Mckee. There you are, Raquel, whose dub poetry presents a social commentary with a distinctive flavour. She's a Poetry in Motion Schools facilitator and a primary school teacher. And Raquel values accessibility in poetry without losing out on beauty. And you can subscribe to her YouTube channel, Raquel Mckee, for samples of her poetry and her storytelling and her singing and her acting. She's another one of our versatile poets. Thanks.
Thank you so much for having me, Shelley and Connor. It's great to be here on National Poetry Day. I have just been having a feast, enjoying all the lovely pieces of poems shared so far. Okay, so I have two pieces for you tonight, and I don't know how many of you know, but today is the first day of Black History Month. So I thought that would be something that I would want to bring to tonight's readings. So the first piece I'm going to do is a recognition of somebody that very few people know about, and his name is Charles Drew. Feel free to join in and enjoy it as much as you want. I won't be seeing your faces because I'm looking at my screen. So my poem on the screen. Okay, here we go. The Charles Drew dub. Talking about a man with a gift from God who discovered a way of storing blood. Until his invention, many bled to death. Because if they lost blood, there was no more to get. We're talking Charles Drew. Who? We're talking Charles Drew. That's who. In the 1940s, when the war was on, Dr. Charles Drew was internationally known, begged by Britain to come rescue her men. The British blood banks were established then. He became a director of the medical division of the British Blood Transfusion Association. He did the same in the USA. That's why the Allied Army had the victory. Then praising Charles Drew. Who? Then praising Charles Drew. That's who. He collected blood for the army and the navy, but generals enforced segregated blood daily. In protest, Charles Drew resigned his position. Instead, started training student physicians following Charles Drew. Who? Then following Charles Drew. That's who. But then on All Fools Day in 1950, Dr. Charles Drew was injured seriously. He needed some blood very urgently, so he was rushed to the nearest casualty. Now it was All Fools Day, so could it be a joke? Because he was black, would they turn back the bloke? Would the white hospital give him transfusion? Would they recognize him in all the confusion, crying, Charles Drew? Who? It's blood blank Charles Drew. That's who. Dr. Drew died in Alemans Hospital. He'd lost so much blood, it was inevitable. With transfusion and treatment, they transcended taboos. So in more ways than one, there is hope through Charles Drew. We praising Charles Drew. Who? We praising Charles Drew. That's who. So yeah, we're talking about a man with a gift from God who discovered a way of storing blood. Although it's very sad how Dr. Drew died, you and I can help to keep his memory alive by chanting Charles Drew. Not true? Charles Drew. We thank you. So I have one short one, another short piece just to finish off for you. And this one is called Africa's Full-Faced Smile. Africa's hips, Africa's lips, Africa's full-bodied lifestyle. Its meaty meats, its traditional eats, Africa's full-faced smile. Textured clothing, matching texture in hair, its layered history weaving one generation into another, some smooth, some twisted, some stitched to a wholly beautiful finish. Pursued by dream chasers digging the dream, its gold, its precious stones lure, while the more astute appreciate the deeper wealth of Africa. Africa's hips, Africa's lips, Africa's full-bodied lifestyle, its meaty meats, its traditional eats, Africa's full-faced smile. Reminiscent of its journey from ancient times, its distant runners summarize the message of the marathon: endurance against all odds. From nuts to coffee, to Madagascar chocolate, cotton to honey to herbs, jams and teas, from navigational tools for the visually impaired to the remote ECG cardiopad, Africa's tomorrow starts today. Africa's hips, Africa's lips, Africa's full-bodied lifestyle, its meaty meats, its traditional eats, Africa's full-faced smile. Africa's full-faced smile. Thank you very much.
It was wonderful. And as one of the comments said, we will never forget the name of Charles Drew after your poem. Thank you very much. So next we have another treat in the name of Stephanie Conn, whose debut collection, The Woman on the Other Side, and her pamphlet, Copeland's Daughter, were published in 2016. Her most recent collection, Ireland, was published in 2018. Stephanie is currently a PhD researcher, and her work in progress is exploring the experience of chronic illness. So thank you, Stephanie, over to you.
Thank you very much. I am working on a collection about chronic illness, and as part of that, I'm doing a sequence on Frida Kahlo. And Kahlo had the resilience, I suppose, and the vision to move beyond the difficult realities of her life and use them to inspire her art and her life. And she started painting after an accident which confined her to bed and really should have killed her. So I'm going to read 2 poems from that sequence. Mexico City Tracks. I knew all about the black funeral trams carrying 90% of the city's deceased to the cemetery, and ancient human sacrifices stretched over stone, so the priest could rip out the heart, cut off the head, fling what remained of the dead down the pyramid steps. I was thinking of neither when the tram flung me forward, crushed me completely. I was longing for my coloured bolero, the shining box of it, how it opened at the chest, and as metal pierced my flesh like a panther's tooth, cut between my legs, I saw only bright shades, red, violet, gold. Broken from the inside out, spinal cord, collarbone, pelvis, ribs, robbed of my virginity by an iron rod, I should have died. They sewed me back together on a folding table. I should have died. I lived, and as my head was still intact, they placed a mirror above so I could feast on my face. And Kahlo, thank you. Kahlo was well known for her rather extravagant traditional Tuana dress, and this was not only a nod to her Mexican heritage, but it had another role directing the gaze away from her disability, which originated with childhood polio and was made worse by the accident. So this is notes on concealment. At 6 years old, pull 4 socks up your shin. At 26, perfect the swish and swirl of A-line skirts trimmed with pleated lace. Clutter your neck with starched frills, silk ribbons, sling jade and fire opals from gold chains. Gather your hair in dark flamboyant knots, braid in place with clips and flower blooms. Present a bold stare that dares any living soul to look away, or look lower, deeper, to see the withered leg, the limp, the back brace reinforced with metal bars, leather straps, the plaster casts, your moulded second skin. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you for that. As vivid as the Kahlo paintings, I think. Thank you. And our last featured reader is Kathleen Mccracken, who was a past winner of the Seamus Heaney Award. She's a Canadian poet and lecturer in creative writing at Ulster University, and she's the author of 8 collections of poetry, including a bilingual English-Portuguese edition entitled Double Self-Portrait with Mirror, New and Selected Poems.
Hey, thanks, Shelley and Connor, for inviting me to, to read tonight. It's been delightful to sit here and listen to all 10 poets coming before me. So I have 2 poems to read. The first one, I suppose it's an older poem, but events last week in the news got me thinking about it again when we heard about the 400 or near 400 pilot whales that beached themselves on Tasmania's west coast. And this poem came out of a time when I was living on Vancouver Island, and once in a while we used to hear the humpback whales in Howe Sound, which is between the island and the mainland. And at that time, you know, that got me thinking back to the days of whale hunting in the Pacific. So there was a kind of connection there, and this little poem came to mind. Humpbacks, Howe Sound. Beyond these windows, the whales are singing. You touch me in the night, tell me to listen. Low frequency clicks and cries, sonar light. I know the upward thrust, humpbacks peeling the surface still, the drive down where mammal flesh involves with salt. There's the throb of deep sea bells, carillon riven by the harpoon's clipped load and fire. Out on the sound, whale clamor, whale lament, diminuendo, ulalu, sorrow song in blue space. And from whales to pineapples, a little while ago I was given a commission to write some poems about particular sites in Lisburn and Castlereagh. And one of the places I visited was Hillsborough Castle. I've lived here 30 years and had never been to Hillsborough Castle. So it was, you know, a revelation in itself, beautiful place. But I was taken with the connection with the pineapple craze of the 17th century, when this exotic fruit was first brought to the British Isles, to Europe. And it got me thinking back, I guess, even further to that deeper history of the pineapple's origins in South America and the Tupi people, for whom it wasn't foreign or exotic, but a staple. So this is called the Pineries, Hillsborough Castle. October's moon is cinnamon. Under it, Will's Hill, first Marquess of Downshire, and his elaborate entourage are drifting off. The dinner party's over, and the candles that amaze the orangeries and river walks have guttered to a wink. Only the pineries are wakeful. What are they whispering to one another, those heated, glowing rows of ananas comosus, smooth cayenne, Jamaica Queen, Black Prince? Neither pine nor apple. Are they tickled by the mania, the old world's passion for a fruit with character? Are they sorrowing the colonial plantations of Brazil and Paraguay, the archipelago of wounds across the tropics? Or are they thinking back through transatlantic crossings to Suriname, to Guadalupe Island, and further back again to the Tupi, saying nanas, nanas, quiet people cultivating the Orinoco Basin's fragrant fruit?
Thank you, Kathleen. Thank you very much. So that ends our featured poets, and now we're going to go on to the open mic. Do we need a 2-minute comfort break? Yes, I see some nods over there. So we'll come back at, it's 20:02, so we'll come back at 8:05. Is that okay? So if you like, you can switch off your video, but otherwise just leave things as they are. Okay. Okay, are we ready to get started again? Okay. So we have 12 poets in our open mic slot who are each going to read a poem. And we also have a few people as well on the waiting list, so we'll see how we go. And the first person is Norman Meharry. So over to you, Norman.
Okay. The title of this short poem is called Little Verse to the Contrary. Because I am a soppy git, I try to make like I'm not. The parents I tried to relegate to the basement of my life died as they did, one before another. I thrust to clear indifferently a flat of all their clutter. I pay men with van pounds to perform this gutting of a living area, the sleeping too. To spare the blush of a ghostly mother, bathroom and kitchen I do selflessly. Big mistake. Bathroom an easy 20 mins. Kitchen, on the oven shelf, caked penicillin, plated dinners, pots bummed with the burn of ages, drawers for nickel silver, spiky with crumbs. Voices call me in the crash ring of this lot into IKEA grips. I latched the kitchen door to stop my sob within, so not upset the man robbing this valley of my kings. Thanks.
And Elena Arfield.
Unmute. Hello, can you hear me?
Hello, yes.
Great.
Okay.
This poem is called Harold G. Offield. It's for my dad. In this house, everything has my father's name, authored in permanent marker. Objects waiting in cabinets and drawers, not knowing he won't be back. His name sings these things magic. I can't remember the textures of his voice, the peach tea smoothness of his concern, the softness of his prayers over dinner. I can't see the way his face wrinkled around a smile, but here he is when I am swallowed by a puzzle of Van Gogh's sunflowers. He answers me in a breeze through open windows, and he is with me when I find sea-smoothed glass, sparking blue or green flames among crunching pebbles, a disco sun over a mirror ocean. His name is steady and capitalized on a calculator, 2 hammers, an electric can opener, things that fabricate and dismantle and fix. Thank you. How nice.
Jane McComb. Hi, Jane. There you are.
My poem's called Miracle Glasses, and Andrew is a real person. I hope he's got his miracle glasses on right now. Miracle Glasses. Moved to tears and minded of the old nun, I went to see her at her place of work. As always, she was mixing potions and spells, beseeching miracles for a modern day world. I told her of the smart glasses and how technology streams the images directly onto the retina, restoring sight faster than the blink of an eye, and how Andrew saw the face of his wife for the first time in years. Bewildered, her cloudy eyes found mine. No, she said, I chose him. He will see me through.
Thank you, Jane. And we have James Milliken now.
Hello.
Hi, James.
This is called Damals in Odessa, and it's after a short story by Heinrich Böll. They're still rattling over cobblestones in the backs of trucks, shivering in the bellies of the great grey bird, waiting for the word. They're still playing cards in barracks and singing songs, doing a bunk and getting drunk. They're still young men, enwrangled in the snarls of their great, great, great grandfathers who learnt about them from their great, great, great grandfather men. And look, when you open up the history book and seek out the gaps between the paragraphs, or better, the pages between chapters, it's all as cold and clear as Crimean skies. Futility still wears the mask of necessity. And it's still very cold at times in Odessa, and somewhere, anywhere, everywhere. And those young men still realize plötzlich, suddenly, when the great grey bird ascends into a day that is klar und herrlich und sehr, sehr kalt, clear, wonderful, and very cold, that they will never come back. No, never. Cheers.
Dervla Bradley. There you are, Dervla.
Okay, this is from Bali Castle writers, an unfinished thought. Watching. The slightest sliver of light slipping up over the hill, pale and paler still, until it's sapphire blue. Clouds dusted underneath, crimson turning rose. The centerpiece, a dark purple dragon of baleful eye. Now, a flying saucer. A shaggy terrier playing with a ball. Grows wispy as it evolves into gossamer threads of grey wafting in a pale pink wash, while streaks of peach greet fair head, inviting rock out of night. Breathe. Breathe in my truest wealth. The dawn, the day's awakening. Seeing colours beyond the power of naming. Witnessing this conversation of sun and cloud and sky, of shape and melt, shape and melt.
I'm still with that terrier. Thank you, that was lovely. Nancy Graham. Hi, Nancy.
Thanks, Shelley and Connor, for organising this. This is my vision of a green uprising. It's called Unbidden as I Stride. Wild carrot riots. Together we shake lacy flower fists at the sky. Dandelions in friendly dozens flash their yellow teeth. I shine my finest back in bright sorority. The lofty foxgloves nod approval one by one, while the gleaming buttercups advance a marathon. Bird's-foot trefoil keeps its counsel. Chickweed giggles, too easily tiggled. Tender ones, your time will come. Ahead of me, a blackbird hops into the nearest doorway. Hawthorn curtains twitch. Sweet insurgents greenly plotting, ardently aware of your power to blanket the earth in rustling verdancy, pushing through tarmac, the concrete, eventually toppling entire structures. Like a bee in a bottle or a bee slave in a box in the back of an HGV bound for the almond valleys, your reverberation insisting on freedom. Sweet green insurgents, I'm ready. Let's begin this revolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. And Paula Ryder. I saw her somewhere.
Okay.
Yes. Hi, Paula.
Hi. Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for giving me a space tonight as well. It's lovely to see new faces and lovely other faces. I was going to say old faces there, but okay. I have a poem tonight called Fork in the Road, and it is basically about a vision that I have for the future, and I see things maybe a wee bit differently from some other people, and this will tell you what it's like. Okay, Fork in the Road. Captivated as a child, books on lives of the saints, Maria Goretti, Teresa, Agnes, Joan, and how to be a good Catholic girl of faith. Captivated too by the lilting Latin tongue. In Mass, I knew every part, offered each response. Would be altar girl, proud to speak my faith. Captivated by stirring stations of the cross, hues of muted blues, maroons and browns, golden halo for thee, thrice downed by weight of faith. Captivated by end of Lent, when purple shrouds from statues tumbled down, honouring Christ's ascent in clouds, rekindling sparks of joy in faith. Captivated then by different views which challenged past beliefs. Mother, fearful for my soul, implored, please come back to your holy Catholic faith. Captivated deeply by the oneness of mankind, establishment of peace, authority of word in answers given by this new wise faith. Captivated daily for more than 40 years by head and heart reflections on Baha'u'llah, God's covenant, and the Baha'i world faith. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Paula. Thank you. And Christine Leckie. Hi, Christine.
Hi. Thanks very much for doing this. This is great. It has been a very lonely time. Not a lot of words in my house. I'm the only word person in my house. So it's just great to get speaking to people. I grew up in Massachusetts and my father served in the Pacific during World War II. And I wrote this on the 15th of August this year, it being the 75th anniversary of VJ Day. And it's called Because of Today. He was coming home. Wouldn't walk through his front door until Christmas 45, but from that day he was coming home to a wife, a baby girl, my sister, not me. He got home once before, June 44, got married, got his new wife pregnant, got sent straight back to transporting aircraft fuel from the Caribbean to the Pacific. I sealed the family deal in 1950, all the time in this new world to live the dream, the American one, build a business, look after his girls. Once he pointed to a man in the street. Your mother used to know him. He could have been your father. He looked a lean, mean man. His lips would not be moist and soft when he kissed my cheek, nor his chest yield, arms warm, always ready for me with a deep, tight hug. Dad spoke little of the war. When I did hear, snippets, overheard when I wasn't supposed to be listening. burying the dead after the Battle of Manila, sun-bloated bodies, the heady, odd, sweet rank of rotting flesh. His ship hit and sunk in the warm Pacific wastes, the screams of men when the sharks found them. A murmur of prayers muttered in the dark from those who hoped to God they wouldn't be next. The money sent home to my mother, not extra pay for extra duties, but winnings from hustling poker and pool. He came home to teach me what a man should be and what he shouldn't. So when my time came, I'd look and look until I found someone my own age, just like him, and marry them. He came home to teach me how to catch a fish, gut and clean it, how to build a campfire without a match, hunt for flint-napped arrowheads in the mud of the Westfield, search that same riverbed for 2 large boulders, paint them white, position them to mark our territory at the end of the drive. Teach me how to swim through burning aircraft fuel, a life skill he seemed to believe essential for a young girl. You just never know when you might need it. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Christine. Thank you. And Judith Thurley.
Hi, can you hear me all right?
Hi, Judith, yes.
Hi, Shelley, thanks. A brief bit of background to this poem. It's called 11th Night, and it was, I was admitted to A&E one year on the 12th when I couldn't get away across the border. And so I was working as a delivery driver, and I was working, and then I got injured, became quite ill and had to go to hospital. And while I was in A&E, it was about 2 or 3 in the morning, just the last place, I just wanted to be at home with my kids. And while I was there, there was some protesters. It was during the Drumcree protests, and a protester at a roadblock, they tried to stop an off-duty policeman who panicked, and he lifted the accelerator and drove through and knocked the man down. So this man who I heard was a UDA, a local UDA guy. He and all his supporters came into A&E. So it's just called 11th Night. Tonight in A&E, I need no thesaurus. Speechless, breathing stabs me in the back. That dark bolus lodged in my caved-in lung might any moment obliterate speech, breath, pulse, thought. My right lung, once beautiful and intricate as a sponge, where blood jostles to exchange gifts with the air, is a dead space, clamped shut with pain. A no warning furore of falling henchmen breaks out in the foyer. Shouts ricochet, the staff nurse runs. I am alone and the trolley sides are up. Terror stalks the corridors of my head. Things not done, dishes, my unkissed sleeping children, oblivious, my own funeral. In my throat, gasps monosyllables. Nurse, please, come. Thank you.
Thank you. Angeline. So we have Angeline King next.
Thank you. Any GB girls here? No? We should put it on no GB girls. Okay, so this will all be new then. This
There are
called,
a couple there, yeah.
Oh, are there?
Yeah.
Where are they? So I can see it. No, can't see anyone waving. I'll figure it out later. So you can put it in the notes down the side and tell me. Captain Dundee is the name of this poem, and it'll be familiar to anyone who was in the Girls' Brigade. I think of you, my captain, in a gym hall, upright, mast bending to the wind, cartwheeling across the polished timber floors of the Craigie Hill Presbyterian Girls' Brigade. I feared you, my captain, addressing a squad, up tight, silver buttons clasped over angular chest, starboard chasing aspirations not yet formed by explorers in navy tunics and red woolen jumpers. I watched you, my captain, imperious head heralded upwards 2-3, leading white gutted juniors in arrow formation with a lunge, heel toe and padabasque to the sailor's hornpipe. I questioned you, my captain. Your rigid core, upstanding in a church hall, sight monocular, inspecting skinny arms and legs by soap-filled plastic basins at annual camp in Douglas. I heard you, my captain. Your counsel in the Antrim Hills, humorously uplifting, voice clearing fog, yet soft against nylon, confessing to captive seniors that you had been tempted by sherry at a dance in the 1950s. I saluted you, my captain, in the morns, sailing up mountains, body clean from cancer, for now, clamouring Christian-like to find lost Duke of Edinburgh Gold Brigadiers 2 days after a double mastectomy. I think of you, my captain, cartwheeling starboard, hauling us up to uncharted places with clean hands and turned out toes. Your work is now complete.
And we do actually have an EB lieutenant here in our midst. That's Anne Mcmaster, who will be reading later. Okay. So Ian Campbell is the next reader, please.
Good evening, and thank you very much for this opportunity to read a poem that continues to evolve. Most of it was published in the Honest Ulsterman a while back, but it grows on me. It's called Old Coltraw, or All That Money Could Not Buy. That old UTA bus would chug slowly up the hill from Sea Park. Its upper deck an aroma of old leather and last night's cigarettes, before stopping at Merino stores, a scuffle of schoolboys swinging out on the chrome rails as the driver slowed. They stocked sweets and fags and tinned groceries, but in September they sold penny squibs, loose from a box on the counter. And in the twilight autumn evenings, the lanes were filled with echoes and the wisp of cordite. Lenny Harris owned the garage on the corner, a dingy waymark upon the old road to Bangor, a reflection in a rainbowed puddle, a shack of wriggled tin that smelt of oil, stale tobacco, and damp earth, a scrunch of gravel guarded by 2 sentinels of the highway, petrol and paraffin, one for the rich and one for the poor. The big cars never called, only turning off between high unclipped hedges, a zig and a zag of a road across the tracks with forgotten unnamed platforms, the waiting room long abandoned and sliding towards accelerated decay, its filigree canopy crudely amputated. No more the clatter of a porter's cart or slam of carriage door or station master's rasping whistle for the off. Now even the slow trains rumble through, never stopping. Next is old Miss Fry, who lives alone down Brown's Park, a one-sided lane of vanilla cabins and forgotten potholes, her private world of peppermint and mothballs hidden behind a cobwebbed trellis porch, her smile as tight as her spinster's handbag. Miss Fry, who once taught me multiplication by rote in the days before a fascination of dinosaurs hung bright on every classroom wall. Further on is Cecil Bates's lorry, a green-edged flatback, piled high with bricks, bagged cement, 4x2s reclining across the cab, and somewhere in the middle, a slump of rain-pocked sand with a battered mortar barrow tipped tight and rope lashed upon its crumbled slope. Then it's Johnny Heron's field, its deep earth drills long neglected, its long grass creased in flaxen ripples across a summer breeze, the derelict glasshouses leaning, shattered, the mountain of tumbled rusty tins, battered, past lingering green glass bottles, each an epitaph for his battle lost against the weeds so long ago. In the gathering twilight, there's old Mr. Ross, charting an erratic homeward course after another afternoon at the Reform Club, a tuneless whistle announcing his shuffled progress, his flies still open from a short relief further up the road, his house one of threadbare carpets, flickering gas lamp shadows, and a cold scullery. And further still, old Dalcullen lies along a lane of rutted gravel, deep and potholed, hollow and short of use, encroached by grasping bramble, greedy ivy, nettles, and wandering foxgloves. The byre, a steam of cattle breath, where antique cobwebs snare hay chaff and hold it to the broken panes. The yard, once cobbled, now an uneven rump of broken, weedy, clogged stones, with an outside stair where broody hens cluck and peck their claim for scattered grain, while Mrs. Hughes, in worn-out tweed and floppy hat, collects their straw dirt eggs and shoes the cats. And there is Mrs. Bradley climbing the hill in her beltless borrowed Burberry, wearing a frown like a bulldog, a slack black bag clenched low below a ragged cuff, tuppence in her widow's purse, the fare for her bus ride home. And later still, Tom Courtney, the gardener, Johnny's drinking pal, cycling by on rusted rims, old tires flattening in a puddled splash, his lamp flickering in cadence with his weary pedal dynamo. No handlebarred moustache, just last week's stubble smudged beneath a battered brown fedora. And at the bottom of that zigzag hill stands the yacht club, so bold, beside the whitewashed cottages, its flagstaff set square with crisscross ropes and spars, its old boatyard definitely out of bounds, with tarps and trolleys and last season's empty rusting paint tins crowding our shortcut to the jetty. Its boatyard, a reflection in a rainbowed puddle, and smelling of oil, stale tobacco, damp sand, and just a hint of paraffin. And further along the shore, up long raked gravel drives with tablecloth lawns of gingham green, stand the big red brick houses, where Cecil patched the fading architecture, where Johnny once sold his garden greens, where Mrs. Bradley dusts and cleans, and old Tom Courtney cuts the grass and always tips his battered hat.
Thank you for that. The memory trip in. I think there are lots of comments about that in the chat.
Thank you.
And here we have now the last of the people on the open mic list, who's Anne Mcmaster, but then we have another 4 poets who are also hoping to read. And I'm having such a good time, I don't want this to stop, so we'll let them all read, shall we? Okay. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to have Anne Mcmaster now.
Thank you. Thank you to the organizers at CAP for this, and happy National Poetry Day. It's just wonderful to be here tonight and to listen to everyone. This is called Baptism at the Farm Well. Summer has come gradually to its knees. The year is wearing thin now. It is growing tired and slow, darkness and memory slipping ever closer to the edges of the day. On this soft blue night, in one final patient dusk, I feel the year begin to falter. I have come to stand alone here beside the river's edge, drawn by the sound of running water, my face raised to the memory of a distant summer day. I am 12 years old, and with my father making hay, once morning eager with the promise of my long-grown bones muscles taut and strong under my salt-slick skin. I have hefted a summerful of grass within these scented hours, and I am weary now. My father calls me to the brow of the hill where 4 fields meet. It is a small, dark copse, a shaded spot, and there, silent, still together, my eyes raised beyond the summer branches to an open sky, a sky that soars unvaulted into the blue. My father reaches into the well his family once searched and found, water centuries cool and shadowed now, and baptizes me in the water of the day. This is the correct order of my heart, this life, this moment. The water trickles down my sun-scorched skin, and I am elemental. Water, air, soil, sky, sun, growth within me and around me. I will flourish here, blessed and baptized this golden summer day. Now my eyes are open, and that sun is gone. There is a depth beyond silence and the shape of words, a gentle movement in the water that I mistake almost for a breeze. Will you join me here? Feel the weight, the movement, and the benediction of the water and the sky. Stand beside me as the stars catch fire. Thank you.
Thank you. Anne. And Peter Courtney, let's have you now.
Hi, yeah, I wasn't really expecting to get on, so this is a poem I'm going to do. I haven't read it before. It's called Sam on Extinction. It came out of a Richard Rohr exercise that I did. It was just a very simple exercise to write a psalm. It's quite different from the way I usually write, because I usually I'm quite economical, very condensed, but this is more polemical and quite bombastic, and I quite enjoyed it. So this is called Psalm on Extinction. Great Spirit, I am oppressed by the cruelty and exploitation towards your animal creation. How appalling to think of the slaughter of the great auk, once so prolific and charismatic on the Isle of Birds. My thoughts are troubled by the way humankind treats anything docile and defenseless. Why does humanity bring death and extinction to the great auk and Galapagos tortoise? Great Spirit, our purposes are ghastly and perverse, to persecute by the thousands each year these gentle creatures, using their feathers for bedding, their bodies for fuel, and their flesh for meat. Now laid waste the Isle of Birds. Great Spirit, help humanity to change the myths we live by. Teach us to see the damage we do to our own psyches when we scapegoat and exterminate the crows, starlings, hawks, and badgers. Help us to live more tenderly, curiously with the insects, spiders, and slugs. Help us, Great Spirit, to see more clearly all your creatures as works of art. Great Spirit, help humanity to discover our words, to love their ordinariness, prosaicness, origins. Help us to stem the loss and hemorrhaging of old words, ash, birch, dandelion, from collective memory. Help us, Great Spirit, to find your merciful hand, even in the intractability of species lost and the spoliation of the landscape. Help us to experience the novelty and wonder in all things, rocks, fossils. Great Spirit, teach us to be human first, and only then to embrace our holiness. Praise to the living God.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you. I'm really glad you read that poem. Thank you.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
Okay. So we have 3 more people to go. We've got Robert Adams, Ian Turnbull, and Yvonne Boyle, if you want to read. Yvonne, if you're still up for reading. I don't know if Yvonne is actually there. So, okay, well, let's have Robert Adams and then Ian Turnbull.
Hello.
Hello. Hi,
I was
Robert.
expecting you on as well. It's good to see us all, and happy poets. As a short poem, I actually edited it the other day, so I hope it means. I don't know I got there what it means to me, but I hope it means to some of you as well. So here you go. It's called Your Girl. Girl, you're no longer my girl. You're your girl. Right away, across life's open plains, free from the barbed fences of debt and guilt, away from the frustrations that come from living and loving too much. Climb on, ride pillion with your dreams, disappear to your fantasy place beyond the sunset and this human race. I love too much of you. That you had to go, I knew. Not being with me is lingering pain. The world still plays and doesn't wilt. Through the darkest temptations, I live my life on new loves without you. Now we drift on roller coaster lives, apart and together. Misty hearts consume us, no enlightenment of our vision, fading to our earthly end and probable resurrection. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you. So now we're going to have Ian Turnbull, and then Yvonne Boyle is going to read the last poem for us. Okay.
I can't find Ian.
I can't find Ian.
Is he perhaps Giffo?
I'm dying to know who Giffo is. Okay, well, how about Yvonne, would you like to read now, and then Ian may reveal himself.
Thank you. Thanks for letting me in, Shirley, and it's been lovely hearing everybody this evening. Thanks for bearing with me with not being on my video, because I'm slowly but surely getting over a recent concussion, and it helps to be off screen. So the poem I'm going to read mentions Roger Robinson, and he's a British Trinidadian poet who's won the T.S. Eliot Prize and other prizes. And I wrote this after hearing him read. It's called On Hearing Roger Robinson Read, A Portable Paradise. That afternoon in Brixton, I was looking out the window at work, down past St. Matthew's Meeting Place and the High Street. The same window I leaned out of the day of the Brixton riots, and I could see above buildings in the distance the smoke rising. But this afternoon it was sunny, and I thought, I want to remember this. Today I'm happy here. And the diagram I drew of how I saw my life could go had two parallel lines. One London, one Ulster. Either was possible, either would do. I chose Ulster. Thank you. And I could just add that Roger Robinson has just followed me on Instagram, so.
Has he? Oh, wow. Excellent, yeah. So I was just saying, Yvonne, that it's lovely. The line that you ended our reading on was, I chose Ulster, which is pretty good. Yes, yeah. Thank you very much, everybody. That was really, really lovely. I've been to quite a few poetry readings during this period because, of course, we can travel to places which are very far away. But I must say I've enjoyed this. I think this is one of the best that I've been to. It's been really wonderful. Connor, what do you think, Connor?
Yeah, it's blown me away. We've been treated to a very rich harvest tonight. We've had history, we've had Black history, we've had a lot of benediction, we've had songs and psalms sung in cyberspace. We've had breezes through windows that have been opened to us. We've had glimpses of Cultraw to Fairhead. We've had colours beyond naming. And we've had reconnection with old friends as well. And it's so great to see everyone and to be a part of this evening. But to me, it sings of benediction, and it's been a beautiful mustering of words and images. So thank you, one and all. I'd just like to reiterate that the Seamus Heaney Awards are now open for submissions, and for everybody here tonight, they will have absolutely no problem in responding to the theme of Heartland, to that, whatever it may be, whatever it may spell or taste to you, whether it's thirst for justice or celebrations of humanity or love or remembrance or bereavement, or indeed the solidarity that we've really felt tonight as well. So thank you, one and all. It's been brilliant. I was thinking that perhaps I should ask you all to unmute, and for people in that way that often happens at the end of a poetry reading, that people just have a yarn with each other, so I can keep this space open for a while. And indeed we can do this again. We plan to, in terms of with Michael Wilson's help, that we're going to do the Lit Up once again. And indeed, when we're doing the poetry workshops, there will be some interaction within those as well. The masterclass work this year too. So yeah, it's great. I haven't been to a shop. I've rarely been out of the house since the 2nd of March. I've been shielding, and this has been the single most pleasurable Zoom that I've had, because of course I have to conduct my working life on Zoom, not to take away from the lovely team meetings I have with my CAP team, but this has been tremendous and really lovely to be a part of. Thank you, each and every one of you. It's been a real treat, treat. So yeah, I'll open up the okay, so people can unmute themselves should they wish to. And feel free to have a yarn or a chat or a talk over each other or whatever it might be. Normally people are stumbling towards a cup of coffee or perhaps
or whiskey.
Or wine. Or making swift exits.
Yeah, could we not all go to a pub somewhere?
Yeah, let's go and have a drink.
That would be wonderful.
Really great, really great.
It was a great night.
It's
Really
yeah,
been a
really
great
enjoyed
night.
that.
Yeah.
Brilliant, very enjoyable.
Yeah, yeah. And
Right.
just great to see
Thanks
so many
very
people
much.
again that I've not seen for such a long time.
Good night, everybody. That was great.
night.
Thank you very much. Good night. Good night. Bye. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your invitation. Thank you. Good night.
Bye.